All right, today we are going to talk about writing using slope-intercept form. In the previous lesson, you learned about slope-intercept form and how to graph using slope-intercept form. And today we're actually going to be given coordinates and slope, and we're going to convert that into slope-intercept form. So just as a review, we want to look at slope-intercept form, and we remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where our m equals our slope, which is our rise or our run, which is how much it goes up and down over how much it goes left or right, and our b is our y-intercept. So when we're writing in slope-intercept form, we're given the coordinates and we must convert those into slope-intercept format. So and our end answer will be in slope-intercept form. So to give you an example of the first one, we are given the coordinates 2, 4, and a slope of 1/2. And we are wanting to put that into slope-intercept form. So what we're going to have to do is use the information in order to convert it. So when we remember that our slope-intercept form equals y equals mx plus b. All right, and again, our m is our slope and our b is our y-intercept. Well, the problem already gave us our slope of 1/2. So we can go ahead and plug that into our equation. So it says y equals 1/2 x plus b. And really the only other thing that we need in order to solve is to find our b. And in order to do that, we are going to use the coordinates 2, 4. So our 2 represents our x and our 4 is our y. So we can go ahead and plug that into our equation and use that information to find our b. So what that will look like is instead of writing a y, I will go ahead and write a 4 equals 1/2. And again, instead of writing x, I'm going to write 2 plus b. All right, now I can go ahead and solve for b. So 4 equals 1/2 times 2 is 1 plus b. I'm going to subtract the 1 from both sides, and I'm going to get that 3 equals b. But I'm not quite finished yet because my end goal was to put it into slope-intercept form. And so I have to take all the information that I've learned and put it into that. So I'm going to say y equals, and I know my m is 1/2, and then x, and then we just learned that our b was 3, so plus 3, and there is our solution to the problem. Y equals 1/2 x plus 3. So now what I want you to do is go ahead and pause the video, try this one on your own. When you're finished with it, check back, check your work, and see if you have any questions. So go ahead and pause the video now. All right, and here is the solution to that problem. You should have gotten y equals 2x plus 2. If you didn't, check through your work, see if you made any errors, and then if you have any questions, let one of us know. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about slope formula. So in the two previous problems, you were given your slope. But what happens when you're not given a slope? Well, you have to use the slope formula. So the slope formula is y2 minus y1 equals x2 minus x1. So you'll see that I have some problems here that we're going to work through together in order to find our slope formula. So the first one that we're going to look at is we have the coordinates -4, 7, and -6, -4. So we're going to plug those into our slope formula, and that's going to tell us our slope or our m. And we're going to have to use that in order to solve some more equations. So let's go ahead, and before we start, I like to label my x1 and my x2 and my y1 and my y2. It doesn't matter which one you do as your x or your y. I always just start with my first one. I make my x1 and my y1, and my second one I'll make my x2 and my y2. Okay, so now that I have them labeled, I can go ahead and plug those into the equation. So it's going to look like negative 4 minus 7 all over negative 6 minus a negative 4. And we know that two negatives are going to make a positive. So instead of writing negative 4, I'm just going to, or minus negative 4, I'm just going to put plus 4 in there. All right, so I have negative 7, or negative 4 minus 7, and that's going to give me negative 11 over negative 6 plus 4 is going to give me negative 2. And again, I know that two negatives are going to make a positive, so my slope is going to be 11 over 2. And so that's how we would use the slope formula in order, or two coordinates in order to find our slope. So let's try the second one together too. Whoops. I have 3 and 0 and negative 11 and negative 15. First thing I always want to do is go ahead and label each one. So I have my x1, my y1, my x2, and my y2. All right, so now I can plug that into. So I have negative 15 minus 0 all over negative 11 minus 3. So I know negative 15 minus 0 is still going to be negative 15. And then negative 11 minus 3 is going to be negative 14. And just like in the previous example, I have two negatives that make a positive. So my slope for this is going to be 15 over 14. All right, let's do the last one together. So we have negative 19 and 12 and negative 9 and 1. So first thing I'm going to do, always label each one. So I have my x1, my y1, my x2, and my y2. And I'm going to plug into that slope formula, which is my y2 minus y1, so it'd be 1 minus 12 over x2 minus x1, which would be negative 9 minus a negative 12. And I know that two negatives are going to make a positive, so I'm just going to turn that into a plus sign. So I have 1 minus 12 is going to give me negative 11. Oh, I'm sorry, I put that as a 12. Hold up. My x1 is actually negative 19. There we go. So then I have negative 9 plus 19, and so that's going to go over, and I'm going to get negative 9 plus 19 is 10. So my slope for this is negative 11 over 10. So that gives you a little bit of background information on slope formula. So now I want you to go ahead and try these problems on your own using the slope formula. So go ahead, pause the video now, work out these, and then if you have any questions, let us know. All right, and here are the solution to these problems. Check your work, make sure that you plugged in the numbers correctly in order to find the slope. All right, so now that we figured out how to find slope, we're going to use that and what we used previously in order to put this problem into slope-intercept form. So we're given two coordinates of 9 and 3 and 19 and negative 17. And we need to put that into slope-intercept form. So again, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write our slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So for this problem, not only are we going to need to find our m, but we're also going to need to find our b. So the first thing that we're going to start with is finding our m, which is what we just did. So we're going to use the two coordinates in order to find our slope. So we're going to have m equals, and we're going to use that slope formula that we just practiced. So let's go ahead and label our 2. So we have 9 is going to be our x1, and 3 is going to be our y1. 19 is going to be our x2, and negative 17 is going to be our y2. So let's use that and plug it into our equation, and let's think about it. Remember, it was y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. All right, so when we plug that in, it's going to look like this. It's going to say negative 17 minus 3 over 19 minus 9. And we know that negative 17 minus 3 is negative 20. And then 19 minus 9 is 10. And if we go ahead and simplify that, we are going to get negative 2. So we found our slope. Our slope is going to be m equals negative 2. But we're still not done, because we learned previously that in order to solve this, we also have to find our b. But since we have our m, our slope, it's going to make it much easier. So let's go ahead and use our slope that we just found and plug it into what we have for our equation. So it's going to be y equals negative 2x plus b. Now, we learned previously in this video that we can use our coordinates, our x and our y, and plug it into our equation in order to find our b. Now, you may look at this and you see that we have two sets of coordinates. So you're going to say, are we going to use the first one or the second one? It does not matter which one you use, you're going to get the same answer. So you can just pick whichever one you want and roll with it. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use the first one. So I'm going to plug that into my equation. So it's going to say, instead of y, I'm going to put 3 equals negative 2. And instead of x, I'm going to put 9 plus, b. All right, so now we're just going to simplify. Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18 plus b. All right, so then I'm going to add 18, and so then I'm going to get 21. So my b equals 21. But again, I'm not quite done, because my whole goal for this was to put it into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to come off to the side. I'm going to have y equals, and if we remember, we found our m, and that was negative 2x, and then our b was 21. So after all of that, that is our answer to the equation. Y equals negative 2x plus 21. All right, I'm going to have you do this last one on your own. You're given the coordinates of 1 and negative 19 and negative 2, negative 7. Again, just like we did, you're going to have to find your slope using the slope formula. Use that to find your y-intercept in order to put it all into slope-intercept form. So go ahead, pause the video now, work through it, and then check your answer. All right, and here is the solution to that. You should have gotten y equals negative 4x minus 15. If you have any questions, feel free to ask one of your table mates, ask a teacher, and once you're done with this, go ahead and move on.